Welcome everyone to English for You. I'm Mike.
And I'm Reese.
And it's day 2 of our look at Da Vinci, not the artist, the robot, or the robot surgical system that might soon be coming to a small hospital near you.
Yesterday we got a bit confused because we thought we were reading about Da Vinci the artist. No, we're learning about the robot who's named after the artist.
Exactly.
Because the robot is a genius and because it deals with human bodies.
Right.
Which is something that Leonardo da Vinci did when he was alive.
That is very true. He was one of the first person to draw very accurate pictures of the human body. But this Da Vinci robot system is not drawing pictures. It's saving people's lives by doing the skilled work that surgeons, that those doctors and hospitals will do. But the robot will be able to do it at a great distance, remotely. So you could be in one place, the doctor could be in a completely different city on the other side of the world. But if they have the robot there, the robot could do the operation, save your life. The doctor doesn't even have to get on an airplane.
This could be particularly useful, as we learned yesterday, for people in space.
In space, sure. Or,
we can't just
out at sea in an ocean on a ship or something.
It's not easy to send a doctor into space to save your life, but we could send a robot up there to do it for us.
Very good point.
Well, today's article is going to tell us more about the Da Vinci robot system. Let's get into it.
Reading.
Da Vinci, the robot that's saving lives. Development of the Da Vinci surgical system began in the 1990s, and the system was given Food and Drug Administration (FDA) approval in 2000. Although it wasn't the first robotic surgical system to gain FDA approval, it was the first to do laparoscopic surgery. In Taiwan, the number of surgeries performed by Da Vinci systems increased by almost 2,000% from 2009 to 2017. The Da Vinci surgical system offers a number of benefits to patients over traditional surgery methods. It reduces the chances of accidental harm and reduces recovery times. Some doctors also claim that it reduces patient blood loss, despite some studies suggesting that this is not the case. There are also benefits for doctors who use the system. Da Vinci allows easier entry into patients' bodies, and its special cameras allow surgeons to see more than with the naked eye. Its various arms also make performing surgery easier. Progress in robotic surgery solutions, like Da Vinci, will continue to make surgery safer for everyone.
Today's article begins with development of the Da Vinci surgical system began in the 1990s, and the system was given Food and Drug Administration (FDA) approval in 2000.
Okay, so that's kind of interesting. It's been around a lot longer than I would have guessed. Right? Here we are in 2021. They actually started working on this idea, almost 30 years ago, right? In the 1990s. And then it got FDA or US government approval basically in the year 2000. So they've still been making it even better. The development of this system has taken quite a long time. What is development? This is a noun that basically means growth and change. Okay, we can talk about the development of a human from a baby to a child, to a teenager, to an adult, that type of thing. Or if anytime you're upgrading your phone or downloading a new patch for your favorite app or computer game, that's part of the development. They're making it better over time. They're fixing things, they're improving things, they're changing things. And this is all happening over a period of time. For example, this new app is still under development, so it will be more useful in the future as they develop it, and that would be the verb form.
Develop doesn't always have to be a positive thing, right?
No.
Develop could be negative,
Yes.
like a disease could develop in your body. That's not a good thing. I mean, for the disease, it's a good thing because it's getting bigger and stronger. But for us, it's not good.
All right, we've seen some bad developments in the environment in the last few decades.
We also have the word approval here. The robot got FDA approval.
Right.
Approval is a noun, and the verb to approve is something we'll talk about first. To approve something means to allow something, to let somebody be or something to happen. So approval is the name of that action, to allow or let something happen.
If someone says, can I? And you say, okay, you can. You're giving approval. You're saying, yeah, go ahead. I have no problem with that. And of course, when they release a new machine that is going to affect people's bodies, or a new medicine that people will take, the government will give approval. They have to test it, make sure it's safe, and then say, okay, you can sell this and you won't be breaking the law. All right, let's get back to the article. So it got approval a long time ago, but I mean, just the idea of a robot that can do surgery, it sounds complicated, so they had to do a lot more development. It says, although it wasn't the first robotic surgical system to gain FDA approval, it was the first to do laparoscopic surgery. Wow, okay, so someone else had actually come up with a robot surgeon idea before that. I'm amazed, but I guess it's kind of a cool idea that a lot of people would try. But this one, the Da Vinci made by Intuitive Surgical, I believe was the first to do laparoscopic surgery. That's basically the surgery that involves long instruments and cameras being put into tiny little holes in your body. So if you have an operation, maybe on, this part of your body, on your knee, on places like that. A lot of athletes might get operations on their elbows or legs or knees. These are small little parts of your body, so they will go in with laparoscopic instruments. All right, let's talk about our first grammar point here. Okay, here we had this word although, all right? So we used it by saying, although Da Vinci wasn't the first system to do something, it was the first to be approved to do laparoscopic surgery. So we use although in this way in kind of the same way we would use despite. We're kind of saying this is true and that is true, but they might seem to be not true, or they might seem to sort of disagree with each other. You would think that the first surgical robot to get FDA approval would be the one that we're talking about, or certainly the one that is the most important or most well known. That is not the case. So we often use although to kind of show things that you might not guess, that might not make sense right away, that might not be something you would think is true, but yet it is true, all right? So we could say, for example, although the fact that despite the fact, I should say, that Kevin studied hard for the test, he still failed. He studied hard, but he failed. All right, so Kevin studied hard for the test, although he still failed. Or although Kevin studied hard for the test, he still failed. It's kind of two things that might not make sense at the same time, or might not be true, but they are.
We also have the words robotic and laparoscopic to talk about. We've kind of touched on these already. Robotic is an adjective which describes something to do with robots. So the robot has robotic arms. Laparoscopic surgery is a special kind of surgery where doctors use small tools and cameras to cut open somebody's body and go inside. It's minimally invasive.
Exactly right. And of course, with a smaller hole, the chances of an infection and things like that go down. Plus, you don't get a big nasty scar left on your body for the rest of your life. Anyways, let's get back to the Da Vinci robot surgical system. It says in Taiwan, the number of surgeries performed by Da Vinci systems increased by almost 2,000% from 2009 to 2017. So first of all, you can actually use this machine here in Taiwan. This isn't something they're still testing. They've been using it in Taiwan since 2009, and I guess since the number of operations has gone up by a lot, 2,000%, it's safe. They're using it, and then they're using it more the next year, and the following year they use it even more, and so it's becoming safer and it's becoming more popular.
Maybe somebody you know, or even you have been in contact with a Da Vinci robot.
Yeah.
Hopefully not, though, because we all want to stay safe and healthy.
It's better just to not have surgery in general.
Exactly.
Yeah, but sometimes you need it.
Well, the article tells us more about why the Da Vinci system is so good. The Da Vinci surgical system offers a number of benefits to patients over traditional surgery methods. So it's basically saying that the Da Vinci system is in some ways better than the old ways of doing surgery. The article will explain some of those reasons, but first, let's talk about this phrase, a number of. This phrase is used for giving a general idea of how many people or things you're talking about. It basically means several of a particular type of thing. I have a number of cats in my apartment.
Okay, yeah. And you could probably just use the word several in the same way, right?
You could do.
Yeah, a few. So it's a smallish number, not a huge number, but definitely more than one. All right, so what are some of the different ways that the Da Vinci system is better than using normal human surgeons? It says it reduces the chances of accidental harm and reduces recovery times. Well, that's a good point. Humans are great, but humans do make mistakes. And, I'm sure people have been hurt by doctors shaking or, doing something a little bit incorrectly. Hopefully the machine is built and designed so it doesn't do things accidentally or accidental harm. Accidental, well, of course, this is something that comes from accident, right? If something is an accident, it happened and you didn't plan it to. It was a mistake. It was some bad luck. It was something where you go, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. That would be an accident. And so anything that we're talking about that was like that was accidental. You might make an accidental phone call to your friend. You were trying to send them a message and you pressed call. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to call you. That was accidental. That was an accident.
So the article mentioned accidental harm. Harm is a noun, and harm is physical injury. When somebody is physically hurt, like getting punched in the arm or shot with a gun. Harm can also be a verb, which means to hurt somebody. The article talks about the Da Vinci method being better than old methods because there is less chance of accidental harm. That means there's less chance the patient will accidentally get hurt during surgery. Here's an example sentence with harm. Sunglasses save your eyes from harm if you're outside on a sunny day.
All right, so this system can also prevent accidental harm along with shortening recovery times. When we talk about recovery in this sense, certainly in the sense of your health and being hurt or sick, recovery is healing. It's when you go from being hurt to getting better again. All right, so the recovery for getting a small cut, that might just be a few days. If you get sick with a bad cold, you might spend the weekend staying at home. That will help your recovery. And if you have surgery or something a bit more serious, like a broken leg, it might take weeks or months for your recovery to go from sick to better or healthy.
Doctors and surgeons are amazing, of course, but they are humans, and humans sometimes make mistakes.
That's true, they do.
Robots make less mistakes, although there are some things that they can't do that we can.
Right.
So, working together, robots and doctors can perform amazing surgeries. The article tells us more. Some doctors also claim that it reduces patient blood loss, despite some studies suggesting that this is not the case. Okay, so another possible advantage of the machine is that the patients lose less blood whilst in surgery, although maybe some science reports say that this is not true.
Right.
Let's talk about the word loss here. Loss is a noun, and loss is the name of the act of losing something, or of something becoming less and less. Blood loss is when your body loses blood, and it can be very, very dangerous because we need blood to live. I think once you've lost 2 or 3 pints of blood, you're in pretty serious trouble.
Yes.
Loss can be talking about losing anything, though, whether it's money, time, or even a person. If we talk about the loss of a person, it usually means that that person has died. Here's an example sentence. We were concerned about our dog's health when we noticed her loss of appetite.
Oh, okay, yeah. To lose your appetite just means you're not hungry anymore. And you're right, for animals, that's a good sign that something's not quite right. Maybe they need to see a surgeon or something like that. But okay, let's get back to this article. We also had this word despite. Okay, the article said actually some doctors also claim that it reduces blood loss despite some studies suggesting that this is not the case. This is kind of like the phrase in spite of, but it's also kind of saying that, well, this might not be true, although some things are saying it's true. We might choose to ignore it, or we might discover later on that we were mistaken, we were wrong about something like that. So in spite or despite being very tired, I stayed awake. All right, so I was very tired, but I didn't sleep. You might expect that. I stayed awake. So in the article, it was saying that some doctors say that this system helps the patients to keep their blood in their body where it should be, but some of the studies are saying that no, that's actually not true. It's about the same, whether it's a doctor or the robot.
So we're saying this thing is true and still happens even though this thing exists.
Exactly, yes.
Despite. Okay, we also have the word suggest, which is a verb. And to suggest means to offer some information or an explanation for other people to consider or think about. Suggest can also be a verb that means to make somebody think about something or to think in a particular way. In the article, some studies suggest a particular result. That means the information in the studies can make us think in a particular way. The noun form of suggest is suggestion, which is the information you give. An example sentence with the verb could be, the data suggests that humans are living longer now than they ever have before.
Oh, okay, so things might be suggested or the data might suggest, but of course we still need to study it, research to prove it. But when something is suggested, it's like, that's kind of what we think. Let's get back to the article. There are also benefits for doctors who use the system. So it's not just the patients whose lives will be made easier and of course saved by these robot surgical systems. The doctors can also get some good effects from the system. Da Vinci allows easier entry into patients' bodies, and its special cameras allow surgeons to see more than with the naked eye. So it makes doing the operation easier for the doctors, and of course you're doing it with special cameras and all sorts of things. Places and being in close in to the sick part of the body much closer than the doctor could actually get with their, eyes and even if they're right there. So that's very, very useful. Here we had this word entry. It was allowing easier entry for the doctors. Entry is basically when you go into a place or go into an area. A door will give you entry into a room or something like that. That's all we're talking about, is the place or the way you go in. To enter would be the verb and entry is the noun. For example, this key will allow you entry into the secret room under the castle. It will allow you to go in to a certain place.
The article talked about naked eyes. Your eyes are not wearing clothes.
Your naked eye?
When we talk about the naked eye,
yes.
We're talking about the ability of humans to see in a normal way, as opposed to using microscopes, which can help us to see things super close up. So robots can see closer than humans can with their naked eyes. The article continues here. Its various arms, we're talking about the robot's arms, also make performing surgery easier. Progress in robotic surgery solutions, like Da Vinci, will continue to make surgery safer for everyone.
Well, that's good news.
That's great
Doctors,
news.
patients, everyone will be happier.
Even though medicine has come a long way in the last 100 or 200 years, it's still progressing, which is very positive. Progress is a noun, and progress is development towards an improved or more advanced condition, things getting better or working towards a goal. Progress can also be a verb, which means to make progress, to get closer to the goal, to get closer to the thing that you're trying to achieve. Many things can experience progress. When we talk about progress in society, we're talking about things getting better for everybody, creating a world that's good for everyone to live in. Here's an example sentence with progress. Since Melvin started practicing the tuba for 2 hours every day, he has made great progress.
Oh, he's gotten a lot better by practicing the tuba. Good for him. All right, well, that's about all the time we have for today. But don't worry, we do have time for our chat question. We will be here to talk about the chat question. We won't have a robot. We won't be doing it remotely. So please come back. Oh, one of us has actually turned into a robot. Please come back to help me and my robot friend here answer our chat question.
For you chat.
All right, so for our chat question today, we have actually quite an interesting one. We've been talking about the Da Vinci robot system for surgery. Here's a question. What problems might there be with robotic systems like Da Vinci? We've only talked about the good things, the benefits from this, but what problems might you imagine, maybe even if you're like writing a Hollywood movie or something and turning it into, the Da Vinci robot system?
Well, the obvious answer would be killer robots that take over the world.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think that's very likely.
No,
There are
probably
some
not.
potential problems, though, you know. Robots are still controlled by humans,
True.
and humans make mistakes. So humans could make mistakes with the robots.
Right.
That could be one problem.
It's connected to the internet, so hackers, imagine if the president was getting surgery and hackers broke in and said, give us $1 billion or we'll make the robot kill the president.
Yes.
Ooh, that could be. Or what about if the power goes off?
Suddenly there's no electricity and the robot just like stops mid-surgery.
That's right, and the patient's there on the table in the middle of an operation. Oh my gosh.
I think also, like you mentioned earlier, you know, humans are very good at improvising and adapting. And if you're doing surgery on a human, every human is different. Something might happen that was not expected.
True.
A robot might not be very good at suddenly changing their plan, whereas a human can adapt pretty well.
That's kind of like what we were saying about airplanes. Sure, the computer can fly the airplane, but what if something goes wrong? Wouldn't you want a person there to try to figure out what's going on and save the day?
Exactly.
That is a very good point. So what about you guys? Let your imaginations run wild. What problems might there be with robotic systems like Da Vinci in your favorite Hollywood thriller or horror movie, if you really want to get creative with it? But anyways, stay well, stay out of surgery, and then everything will be okay. And be happy, healthy, and come on back soon for more great articles. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review. Development. Development of the video game began last March, and the game should be available by the end of 2022. Harm. Typhoons can be very windy and dangerous, so stay inside to keep yourself away from harm. Loss. As a result of the illness, Sarah experienced huge weight loss and became very thin. Suggest. I haven't seen Jay, but his bag is still here at his desk, which suggests he hasn't gone home yet. Entry. The school is closed on the weekends, but I have a key that gives me entry to the building. Progress. Ian made a lot of progress on his essay over the weekend. He thinks he can finish it by Friday.
智慧小补帖
Approval. Robotic. Laparoscopic. Accidental. Recovery.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net